Well, it doesn't get any better than this, does it? 2 Betfred Challenge Cup trophies on the line, 4 clubs heading down Wembley way, and one unbelievable afternoon of rugby league under the arch on the cards. We're here at the press conference. We're going to be hearing from all 4 sides. It's Betfred Challenge Cup final week.
The Cup, a challenge like no other. No slip-ups. No shortcuts. Last chance saloon from the very start. The final, the fabled arch. The great pilgrimage where rugby league comes to worship the oldest glory in the game.
Wembley, it's a place like no other, where trophies are lifted and lionesses roar. In 2023, history will be made. The biggest stage finally shared.
Our sport has its own storied tapestry here. Leigh's memories of Murphy are half a century old. The Leopards are looking to write their new chapter. The Robins have soared to these heights before, but East Hull hasn't tasted victory here in over 40 years.
The Rhinos stampede as the Saints shine.
And Fair Gaskin gets the drop goal!
History awaits, its winners take all.
The Betfred Challenge Cup Final 2023.
Where heroes become legends.
Yeah, we have had so much drama on the road to Wembley this year. What will the Betfred Challenge Cup final have in store? Well, joining me now from Hull Kingston Rovers, Sean Kenny Dow and George King. Gents, Wembley week, big week. What's it been like so far?
It's been awesome. Obviously, there's a great buzz around the camp. Everyone's really positive and optimistic about the excitement of going down to Wembley. And we had a really good training day today and started off with a good day of preparation. And we just can't wait to get down there on Saturday.
You won that semi-final in such dramatic fashion. How long did it kind of take to get yourselves off the ceiling and realise, okay, we've got a job to do, we're in a cup final?
Yeah, no, obviously it were a great week, the whole build-up was fantastic. Obviously a lot of emotion came after the game, obviously, because the club hadn't been to Wembley in a long time. I know they had that hiccup against Leeds, and well, it wasn't a hiccup, it were a mauling really. So obviously we really want to go down there and do the job really. So there wasn't really much really like after the semi-final. It were job on. Where this week we've got to certainly be at the races, and I think our chairman came in and made sure that made it pretty clear that the past mistakes that the club's made, that we can't make that again.
I think it was really huge too. We had a short turnaround that weekend for the boys to respond after such an emotional weekend. Put in a great performance against Castleford and put in a performance and a dominating win. I thought that was really showed character of the group to be able to come down from that high and put in a performance like that. So that was a really big positive.
And that atmosphere at Headingley was absolutely electric. The whole KR fans were incredible that day. You must be so excited to get out in front of a full end at Wembley of those supporters in the final.
Yeah, I got goosebumps actually. I've never really felt like that before, but we were warming up and to have that wave of support behind you, and you can feel their passion, and I think they're the most vocal fans in the league, and they show out in numbers every week. So hopefully we can go down there and make them proud, and put a performance in that will they can sing to the houses come home, and hopefully we can bring the cup home for them.
And it's felt for a couple of years like the club are on an upwards trajectory, but especially since Willie came in, you've got some fantastic young players in as well. Does this kind of feel like just the next step on the journey to putting this club right on that top shelf of rugby league?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the first few weeks of pre-season is always the toughest, and certainly made his mark. Laid his ground rules, and obviously when you've got leaders as well, like the one sat next to me, and you've got other good players around us, and what can build that sort of connection, that ethos of where players never want to give in for each other and things like that. It certainly makes a good culture, and Willis definitely brought that good cut, as well as adding obviously good additions from overseas and good young players like you mentioned. It's been a good collective effort. Obviously we've had some games where we haven't been at the races, but we've had some games where we've been terrific as well, and it's about managing that this week, and hopefully we can manage it perfectly where we can get the job done.
You're coming up against a league team red hot, absolutely flying, of course, this season. Have you been able to identify where you think that they might hurt you and you might hurt them?
Well, definitely, yeah. They've obviously beat us twice this season. Obviously, there's no better way to do a review than obviously the two games that we've come up against, lost against them. So obviously it's going to be a huge challenge. They've been absolutely revelation this year. They've been really good. Some of their signings that they've made, and even some of from other Super League clubs as well. You know, they're really bonded and gelled, and it's going to make a special effort to beat them.
You've obviously played on big stages. Do you allow yourself to kind of think about walking out at Wembley? Do you allow yourself to think about what it might be like to lift that trophy, or do you just try and think about 80 minutes of footy?
Yeah, of course, it's a massive honour, and I think you have to embrace the week and really enjoy it, because it's a special moment that doesn't come around too often in your career. But we've spoken about it early this week that we've still got a job to do and a week to prepare for, to come up with the right attitude and mentality that's going to give us the best chance to win on Saturday. And I think that has to be the main focus. And I think we've had a great session today, and I think the boys will really buy into making sure we're ticking all the right boxes for Saturday.
You mentioned 2015, obviously a very different group of players, but has that been spoken about, and about what it would mean to the club to put that right?
Yeah, only straight after the semi-final. Obviously, it was a method there where I thought it was right as well, because obviously we don't want to get too carried away after semi-final. You haven't won anything, and it was obviously the moment as well where we don't want to be going down there just to make a number. We want to be going down there and obviously going there and obviously lifting the trophy. So obviously we've got to prepare the best that we can possibly can, and make sure that we don't make them same mistakes.
If it's a close game, golden point. You've got the man who can do it.
He's been amazing. He's been a massive revelation for the group, and he's came and performed on the biggest stage. He's played 3 games and he's already a whole KR legend. So hopefully he can come and perform for us again. And he's been a breath of fresh air. A lot of positivity around the group, and he's fitted him seamlessly. But he's got a job to play as we all do on Saturday.
What would it mean to you personally if you are lifting that trophy at the end of the day on Saturday?
Yeah, obviously it'll be massive. It's every boy's dream who plays rugby league, especially in this country. It'll be absolutely massive, and I've said to myself even from a young age that I'll never touch the trophy unless I win it. I've had 2 occasions now where I could have possibly done it, failed on them 2 occasions, and I'm hoping for third time lucky.
Well, it's been 43 years since Hull KR last lifted that famous Betfred Challenge Cup trophy. They've got an opportunity to put that right at the weekend, but standing in their way are the Leigh Leopards. From 1895 Cup winners last season to Betfred Challenge Cup finalists in 2023. The story of the Leigh Leopards has been an absolutely remarkable one. Joining me now, Zach Hardacre and Tom Briscoe. Gents, Zach, I'll come to you first. What a week to be involved in. When we started this season off, I know you'd have had hopes of it, but now you're here. Has it kind of settled in what you've achieved just getting to this point?
No, not yet. I think there's obviously an excitement and a buzz around the place. I think just at the start of the year, just winning games and seeing the fans' reaction was, took me back a little bit of what it means to the people involved in Leigh and the town. But ever since when we beat Saints a couple of weeks ago, it's just the fans have been absolutely ecstatic, and people around the place are really excited. So to just play the small part in it is brilliant, and everyone's looking forward to Saturday.
It's felt pretty much since round 1, Tom, that the mood and the kind of the sense around the Leigh Leopards has been a really positive one. You seem like a really tight-knit group of players. To get yourselves into this final, I guess that's just been amplified by 100 this week.
Yeah, I mean, going back to pre-season, the buzz around the place, with the rebranding and becoming the Leopards, and all that Derek wanted from the club, the signings that he made, the press launch of the rebranding and the players that were coming in. it's all been an exciting time to be part of Leigh, and to be able to back it up on the field. It's pretty special to be involved in that.
The fact that the fact that you had those conversations about signing for Leigh and joined, days like this must have been on the radar. This must have been the intention early on for players of your experience and calibre to be here.
Yeah, and I think obviously with the experience that me and Tom have got, I think we just wanted to. I think the aim of the brand and stuff is to establish it to be a Leigh of a team that people are speaking about for years to come, and our job is to probably steer that club in the right direction. And then the calibre of players that they signed and going through the team sheet and then starting training, I think we were evident to see that we had a special group that could probably achieve something this year. Whether we did or not was another thing, but we've just fully enjoyed every day working with each other. We've always training and smile with a smile on his face, playing with a smile on his face. I think that goes a long way. I think we sit second in the table now and an opportunity to win a Challenge Cup 6-7 months into a first season with Leigh Leopards, and it's something that I've not took it for granted. It's been really special so far. I've really enjoyed it, and we just keep working hard and keep a smile on his face and see how far we can take this club. And I think longevity of the club, I think that's what Derek wants for a successful Leigh team.
Fond memories of Wembley for you, of course, Tom, in 2015 against Hull KR, ironically. Have you allowed yourself to kind of think back to that and what this might be like in comparison?
I think, well, obviously every year at this time the clips come out of the 5 tries and everyone starts mentioning that, and when you're at a press day like this, the questions come, but it's something that I suppose I've put in the past, and it's great memories, but I want to create more memories and achieve more with this club. To win a cup with Leigh, the journey that they've been on, to not have done it for the last 50 years, it'd be right up there with the best achievements, and very special for me personally in the club.
There's a lot of things that make this final a really exciting one, but I guess the fact that both clubs have gone so long without winning it just puts kind of more wood on that fire. There must be you've got an opportunity to write your name in Leigh legend here. That can't be lost on you.
No, 100%. Yeah, and me personally, I like winning every time I step onto the field. So just being at a Challenge Cup, it makes it obviously a massive achievement to go after. But the folklore and the legend stuff is all hearsay, and it's probably something to look back on if we achieve that on Saturday. But yeah, for us, for me personally, I want to win every game I take to the field, and Saturday will be no different. So if I can just do that and help the town, and like I say, the buzz around the place, the town is massive. You just drive through Leigh and you can see leopard printed cars and people in shirts and leggings and all sorts. So it's really took the town by storm, and to give the opportunity for the fans to go down in force on Saturday is brilliant, and something I'm really looking forward to seeing them out there, and to get that win will be extra special, and just for the town and what it means to like Derek, who's been up and down with Leigh in recent years, to give him the opportunity to go down and get a win for him would be pretty special.
2 teams this year, Tom, have been just really enjoyable to watch play rugby league on a big Wembley pitch, a fast, hopefully dry track, especially for the outside backs like yourselves. This could be an absolute humdinger, couldn't it?
It could, yeah. Like you say, we both play some exciting rugby. So that means for us we need to make sure defensively we're right on our game, and trying to stop all that. They've got players all over the field, offloads, kicking game. So we know we're in for a tough game, but I suppose looking from the outside, it is a real exciting prospect. Hopefully, like you say, it stays dry and we get to show that.
That Leigh end in that semi-final, the atmosphere and the noise coming from those fans was unbelievable. The opportunity to play in front of a kind of full Wembley end of that must be the atmosphere. That must be why you do the job.
Yeah, and I think the Leigh fans, every game we've played in have been absolutely brilliant. Even the fans that went over to Catalan, it's not many, but they do make up for the noise they make. And on the flip side, KR fans, I think they're really good. They're really passionate about their club as well. So I think it'll be an absolutely brilliant atmosphere. Both sets of fans create that, and it's going to be brilliant to be a part of on Saturday.
Well, gents, thank you for joining us. Best of luck at the weekend. We are 80 minutes away from knowing our 2023 Betfred Challenge Cup winners A journey that started right here on the Sportsman in February, and we'll be with you every step down Wembley Way.
You're watching the Sportsman Rugby League,
the home of Rugby League online.
Subscribe for exclusive live games from the Betfred Women's Super League and Challenge Cup.
So much history made at Wembley over the years in the Betfred Challenge Cup final. On Saturday, a new chapter will be written, the first ever Women's Challenge Cup final to be played at the National Stadium. Alongside me now from the Leeds Rhinos, Hannah Butcher and Caitlin Beavers. Caitlin, what an exciting time, what an exciting thing this must be to be involved in.
Yeah, it's something that we thought we'd only ever dream about, so for it to come true and be a reality and be a triple header playing at Headingley, there's so many things happening at once that it's just phenomenal for the game, so I'm so excited to be a part of it, so lucky to be a part of it.
And it is the perfect final in a lot of ways, because you and St Helens historically over the last 4 or 5 years have dominated this competition. It's going to be some game as well, regardless of where it gets played.
Oh, definitely. It's going to be a real tough battle. I think it'll be a close game. I think it's just going to come down to game management, really. That's going to be a big part of it, and just who can deal with the occasion the most.
That semi-final against Wigan, you were made to work really, really hard for it. Is that kind of the perfect preparation for this in a way? Because you've played in a high-stakes game this season where you've really had to dig deep.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to go into a final without being tested, and credit to Wigan, they really gave it to us and really gave us a challenge, and that's just what we needed. I think that's the reason why we didn't talk about getting into the final prior, because we knew that we had a big job in Wigan ahead, and we needed to get that job done before thinking any further. But yeah, like I said, it doesn't give anyone any favours going into a final ill prepared with an easyish game, but with how the game's developing nowadays, the league is so competitive and it's only getting better and better.
And then St Helens coming through in an unbelievable game against York. Have you kind of looked at that game, analysed what York did to cause them a few problems, and tried to learn what you can do in the same way?
I watched that game live. I thought it was a fantastic game from both teams. But yeah, we're definitely looking at ways that we can exploit St Helens. I think we'd be daft not to at this point, yeah.
And obviously there's a big kind of sentimental weight behind this game, but from a purely rugby perspective, when you look at what Wembley is in terms of the surface, size of the pitch, what's at stake, there must be some kind of extra considerations to take into place when you're coming into a game like this.
Yeah, I think for us, our prep is massively going to go into our training this week. It has done for the last few weeks, and the occasion is that big that we can't underestimate it. I think it's fantastic that in all the games that are being played on the weekend, there's not two of the same teams, men or women. I think that it's good that hopefully it'll be such a wide range of supporters, and yeah, I think it's good that we're putting on buses and we're getting as much support behind us as we can.
It comes at quite an interesting point in the season, this as well, because whoever wins this game at the weekend will have a real springboard going into playoffs and potentially grand finals to kind of sweep up the lot.
Yeah, I think it'll boost the confidence of the winner, definitely. But, you know, we're just focused on ourselves. We're not focusing too much at the future, just the game in hand this week. And yeah, we're ready to go.
How important has the experience of some of your squad members been this week? You've got players like yourself, of course, who are involved in that World Cup, involved in that kind of slightly different environment. The likes of, you know, Amy Hardcastle, who's been there and done it. But it must be kind of time for those voices to speak up and just kind of settle everything down.
Yeah, absolutely. Like myself and Hannah, I've been fortunate enough to play in many finals, and like I said, myself and Amy in World Cups and just international games. And if we can help people in our squad, we've got a fairly new squad, quite a few new faces to Super League, so if we can help them in any way, shape or form on the day, then I think that's going to be our job. Us as vice captain and captain, I think we really need to look at how we've already done it, really, haven't we? Look at how's best to get the best out of the girls, how do the girls respond, and I think that for me personally, it's what I've had to look at with what comes with the role. Look at the maturity of myself, emotional maturity, and just see how it can benefit everyone. But the girls are very good. That if they're nervous, they'll get the first carrying, they'll get the first tackling, and they'll soon ease. And we're hoping that's the same on the day.
I'm not going to ask you to give away your game plan, but where do you identify as being your biggest threats?
I think they've got obviously Jodie Cunningham, really classy player. Rudge, really good. They've got some good. They can put on good shift players, good edge players. So we'll be looking to shut them down as quickly as we can. And they've got some like versatility amongst their squad as well. So some of their players can play multiple positions. So it'll be interesting to see what 17 they choose.
What about for you guys?
For us, like I said, we've got so many young faces, and I think that they're a threat. As one of the games that we played the other week, Tara Stanley were on the commentary and she said that some of our young players she's never heard of, she's never seen, but when she's played against them, they've actually made an impact. And I think that's so important about what Leeds strive for with their academy system. So yeah, I think our youngsters are definitely a force to be reckoned with. I think our forwards are probably the best that they've been all season, and they're at the right path that they're on now, and our halfbacks are finally finding that cohesion. So no individuals as such. I feel like it'll be definitely a team effort on the day.
Just lastly, is there a kind of strange sense around this game? Because obviously cup finals and grand finals are talked about in every season. But the moment that this final was announced at being at Wembley, there must have been an entirely different narrative around the Challenge Cup this year for you guys.
Yeah, well, it came about, the announcement we made last year, so I think from then, you know, the girls, that's what their aim is, to get into the final. And then we've just built week on week. We've spoke about potentially getting to the final throughout like pre-season and stuff. At the end of the day, that was our aim from the very beginning. So to be going into it this week, we just hope that we can get the win and put on a really good show.
Well, best of luck on Saturday. It is a repeat of last year's final, of course. It is the reigning Betfred Women's Challenge Cup holders against the current Betfred Women's Super League champions.
Looks for the step, there's half a gap there, she can exploit it if anybody can, she can! Puts the grubber kick in through there, it rebounds off the post, sits up for Tara Jones, bit of a stutter, yeah, the try coming in from Leeds Rhinos, gets the drop goal, St Helens, who are the first team through to the Challenge Cup, Leeds Rhinos that go through to Wembley on the 12th of August.
Yeah, these two sides have had some unbelievable battles over the years. Wembley, the perfect stage for this Betfred Women's Challenge Cup final, alongside me now from St Helens, Tara Jones and Emily Rudge. Wembley week, Emily, that's quite an exciting thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't believe it's actually here. I think we've been dreaming about sort of this moment and having the opportunity to play at Wembley for years, you know, ever since we were little. So to finally get that opportunity is just unbelievably exciting for everyone involved.
We'll talk about the final in depth in a minute, but I just want to go back to that semi-final, Tara, and that drop goal from Faye. The 10-20 minutes leading up to that in that atmosphere had been unbelievable, and then that moment just felt like a real, like, I'm not going to forget being there for that. What was it like being on the pitch?
Yeah, it was intense. Like, that game was intense from the first minute of the game to the 80th minute of the game. Obviously, it come right down to that last minute and the drop goal. When Faye managed to drop that kick over the sticks, you know, it was just such a relief that we just got that little edge over York, and we were going to Wembley, and at that point I think it then sunk in and we were like, Wembley, it's ours now, this opportunity is ours. And you know, the game was intense and it was a brutal game from start to finish, and the girls, both sets of girls from both teams, put on a great show for the Women's Super League and Women's Rugby League in general.
All three pieces of the 13-a-side silverware went to different clubs that season. Yourselves, Leeds and York, just seem to be producing such a kind of unique sort of three-way rivalry, and every game is completely unpredictable.
Yeah, and you know what? It's so much better that it's like that now. I really prefer it. I think the league is so competitive. You know, in previous years we sort of went and won everything, and this year we feel like we wouldn't be able to do that unless we were performing to the absolute best of our ability. And I think that's, you know, credit to all the other teams who've really upped the game. And now every game, like you say, against Leeds and against York is so competitive. It's so tough, and the team who performs the best will come out on top. You know, you can't take any of those games easily or lightly anymore.
It kind of feels fitting in a way that the first women's Wembley final is yourselves and Leeds, because York have been magnificent in the last 18 months, 2 years, but those two clubs, St Helens and Leeds, in the women's game over the last 4 or 5 years have just been at each other all the time. It feels right in a way that it's you two that are doing it first.
Yeah, like we've played each other quite a few times over the last few years, as you mentioned, and we always battle it out, and you know, you can never say who's going to come out on top. It always comes down to the day and the game, who performs better, who has more of the ball, who completes better. So yeah, it will come down to the day, and maybe even just who holds the occasion better and who deals with the situation. You just can't say who's going to be the underdogs, who's going to be the favourite for the game. You just can't. So it's a really good battle, and it's going to be a great performance for both teams.
So what's the week been like? How's training coming into Saturday?
Well, yeah, I think obviously we've just been focusing on the league. Up until this point, we had a game yesterday, so that was been the main focus. But obviously this week now, fully Wembley focused, and I think the girls are just really excited to train well, have a great week, and then go down early on Friday and just, you know, enjoy the occasion. I think for a lot of the girls it's a dream come true, and it's an amazing opportunity, and I think we want to definitely enjoy the occasion and make the most of it as well.
People will talk about the kind of sentimental element of this final being at Wembley, but from a purely rugby league perspective, big pitch, probably one of the best surfaces in the world, a lot of pressure on because of what's at stake. Have you kind of spoken about what you guys need to do, I guess especially in those opening 10-20 minutes, just to make this final yours?
Yeah, I think more of them conversations will come flowing in this week within the group. As Emily just mentioned, we were focusing on the league up until this week because we had 2 games in between the semi and the final, so kind of that focus flips this week to Wembley week, so more of them conversations will be coming in place and on how to deal with them pressures, what we need to do in them first 10, 15, 20 minutes, you know, to get into the game, finding our feet, but we need to be performing from minute 1 to minute 80, and that's what it will come down to.
And for yourselves, obviously, the positions that you play, you're going to cover a lot of ground, you're going to cover a lot of minutes. Does that feel almost like more of a challenge? It's the same game, but it's kind of not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it probably is, like you say, a bigger challenge, but I think it's the same for both teams. So, you know, we'll both have that sort of challenge to face. But I think it's just exciting, and like Tara said, it'll come down to the occasion, and I think nerves will play a part probably like in the first sort of 5-10 minutes, and who can hold the ball and you know, get the composure and play the sets out well. So I think we're just really looking forward to getting going now, and excited to be there.
They're both involved in the World Cup, of course. How much will that experience come into play? Does that kind of change your role a little bit? Have you got a bit more of a leadership role because you've been in those different environments?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously we've kind of been in them big environments, big stadiums, big crowds, big atmospheres. So yeah, we do have that kind of lead role to kind of put our arm around the girls that might not have been exposed to these kind of things before, and take that lead that it's okay, how to stay composed, how to deal with these occasions. Yeah, I think that is down to us, the leadership of the group, to deal with those.
Well, thank you for taking the time to sit down with us. Best of luck to you both at the weekend. A triple header at Wembley, starting off, of course, with the Betfred Women's Challenge Cup final. And here's how the rest of the day looks. Well, there we have it. The stage is set. History beckons. 4 clubs making their way to Wembley. 2 will be coming back with the silverware. We don't have to wait long to find out. It is Betfred Challenge Cup final week.
The Cup, a challenge like no other. No slip-ups. No shortcuts. Last chance saloon from the very start. The final, the fabled arch, the great pilgrimage where rugby league comes to worship the oldest glory in the game.
Wembley, it's a place like no other, where trophies are lifted and lionesses roar. In 2023, history will be made. The biggest stage finally shared.
Our sport has its own storied tapestry here. Leigh's memories of Murphy are half a century old. The Leopards are looking to write their new chapter. The Robins have soared to these heights before, but East Hull hasn't tasted victory here in over 40 years.
The Rhinos stampede as the Saints shine.
And Fair Gaskin gets the drop goal.
History awaits, its winners take all.
The Betfred Challenge Cup Final 2023.
Where heroes become legends.